Please note that after sending this confession, I intend to close this email account and you will never be able to contact me through it again. I have been warned not to speak publicly about what happened, and I fear possible consequences if my identity becomes known. I am not an educated woman, so I had to rely on someone else to help me put these words together for publication. However, I can read, and I know I will be following the reactions and comments from sharing my story. I expect criticism and insults because of what I have done, and I am prepared for people to judge me harshly. This story is real. There is nothing fictional about it. As I write these words, tears fill my eyes. Please do not feel sorry for me because I struggle to feel sorry for myself. I see myself as someone whose greed and desperation led to an unforgivable mistake. Let me explain how everything happened. I live in eastern Nigeria, where survival can sometimes feel like an uphill battle. At the time all of this happened, I was struggling badly financially and was raising a baby on my own. My child was only 9 months old. Life had become so difficult that I felt trapped and hopeless. One day, while speaking with a friend, I told her that I was so desperate that I would even consider giving up my baby if it meant surviving, provided I knew the child would be safe. She laughed at what I said, perhaps believing I wasn't serious, but I was. About 2 weeks after that conversation, I received a call from some people in northern Nigeria who said they wanted to see me. At first, I assumed they were customers because of the kind of work I was doing at the time. However, I was shocked when two men arrived at my small apartment and informed me they were acting on behalf of a wealthy man whose identity they refused to reveal. Their visit frightened me. I became angry and immediately told them I was not interested in what they were suggesting. They continued trying to persuade me and even showed me a check that had already been prepared. I ordered them out of my room and eventually they left. I expected they would continue calling me and pressuring me, but they didn't. Instead, I was left alone with my thoughts. I found myself torn between two painful realities: the money they had offered and the thought of losing my child to people I do not know. For days, my mind was in turmoil. Eventually, after 3 days of thinking about it endlessly, I made the decision that would later become the greatest regret of my life. I called them. I asked them to come back. The following day, they returned. By the time they arrived, I was already crying. I knew that if I went through with what I had agreed to, I might never see my child again. They arrived in a police vehicle, apparently intending to leave with my baby that same day. They informed me that the man who wanted the child was waiting. I asked them the question that had been haunting me from the beginning. Are they going to kill my child? Perhaps seeing how distressed I was, they tried to reassure me. They told me that the man had never had children of his own, and this was the reason he had traveled all the way to the east in search of a child. They insisted that no harm would come to my baby. At the time, they warned me that once the transaction was completed, I needed to accept that the child would no longer be mine. They told me the payment had already been made. They said I should prepare myself to let go. With tears streaming down my face, I handed my baby over to one of them. I cried openly as they drove away, leaving people around me wondering what had happened. Even after they left, I called and pleaded for them to bring back my child. They told me it was too late. What makes this even harder for me to live with is that I cannot honestly say that I used the money for anything meaningful. Today, very little of it remains. Apart from purchasing a car a few months after the incident, I cannot pinpoint any significant achievement that came from the sacrifice I made. People around me still do not know the truth. Whenever they ask about my child, I tell them that my baby is staying with my mother in the village. That lie has followed me ever since. I am sharing this confession because the guilt has become almost impossible for me to bear. The memory of that day follows me everywhere. It stays with me when I wake up. It stays with me when I sleep. I often find myself distracted and overwhelmed by the thought of what I did and where my child might be today. More than anything else, I want advice. I read the confession section regularly, and I have often found comfort in reading other people's struggles and the wisdom people share in response. This time, I am the one asking for guidance. I desperately want my child back, but I have no idea where to begin. I don't know where my child is. I don't know who has my child. I don't even know whether finding my child again is possible. Looking back now, I feel I acted foolishly and allowed desperation to control my decisions. Please don't spare me because of pity. Instead, give me the same advice you would give your own sister if she came to you with this burden. Well, guys, this is a story from one of our sisters. Indeed, this is a painful one and a tough one to read. Wherever that child is, I hope they are fine. If you have any advice or any comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section, and we'll see you on the next one. And also, if you have a story to share with us, please feel free to send us an email and we'll be glad to speak with you. See you next time.